Bingo.
Learning history will open up your eyes, but it will also break your heart. And it's sad that I gotta make knowledge rhyme for my people to take it to heart, translate it to art. But so be it, let the translation start. Free your mind and let this knowledge impart. It seems like we're in a matrix, and I feel like Morpheus with 2 pills trying to wake up a generation who has been given every possible obstacle to remain baseless, like prison industrial complex, the new Jim Crow Negroes for compensation and emasculation, halting our maturation, many masquerading as men and leaders, but without reading, we really screwing ourselves. I'm sick of this masturbation and mass debating on irrelevant issues, but we won't read our history. We docile, I swear it's like mass sedation and hypnosis. Negroes is brainwashed by whatever the mass is saying. Whatever mass is saying. Took a people's history book, abused it, mistaught it, created religious indoctrination, and used it as a weapon for their people's own enslavement. Code Nor, 1724, conversions and manipulation, flower de luce, branding and mutilation, castration, backs with lacerations, blacks, niggers, porch monkeys, bywords for Hebrew faces. With every invasion we get genocide, aboriginal annihilation, colonization, nationality elimination, lightening of the faces of indigenous populations, then congratulations. This is where history changes and end up with the Renaissance, whitewashing, cultural appropriation. How appropriate. They provide this information because they will never open up their mouth and teach you this information. See, they teach you MLK and integration, not the melanated dominance over advanced civilizations. False pretenses and presentations, and some are so dumbed down from public education that they can't recognize when something is true, that the opposition always label it with negative connotations and enact laws like they did with the Holocaust to eliminate public proclamation, the propagation of popular propaganda to populations of people portraying Yah's chosen people. They're receiving payments of reparations when the Most High's chosen people were shipped to the Americas on slave ships. Let's face it, they not the faces of biblical pages. They became a nation of imitation, occupying the borders of places that didn't give them an invitation. They have fake us, try to erase us, learn our language, mix it with German and try to replace us. But I get credit where credit is due. They did a good job, cause we won't even wake up. And when we try to tell the truth to Christians, they don't embrace us. Even if we had plenty of blush and a soft brush, there are some things you just can't make up. And all I could think about is Yahusha's statement, synagogue of Satan. Their impressions ain't even impressive. They're like a melanin should be the elephant in the room, but no one wants to question it, cause prejudice is prevalent. Racism is evident. Evidently, even if all signs point to us, we still need indisputable evidence. Interesting. The battle we must fight to prove our identity, when they stick out like sore thumbs and no one's saying anything. And if you do, then prepare for the labeling, anti-Semitic. But review the scriptures, examine the history with the transfer agreement and Balfour Declaration, and it's clear to me the whole way they acquired the land we see was anti-prophetic. Get your Bible, take a good look. Deuteronomy 28, Jeremiah 17:4, we the people of the book. Took from Igbo, Iwi, and Ashanti to name a few. Georgia's first African Baptist church was built by slaves and got Hebrew written on the pews. Who knew? More stuff they won't teach you in public schools. False narratives will keep the perception skewed. Yeah, it's hard to imagine, like a European Jesus, that black people cling to, and that's nothing short of egregious. All sorts of devious reasons for deceiving us, even up to today we still mentally stuck, where we won't question the image presented. And if anyone brings attention, my own black brothers and sisters are the first line of defense this Stockholm Syndrome. And I don't mean to intentionally rub you the wrong way, but if I do, then keep in mind that I'm not a masseuse. So if I touch on touchy subjects that gets under your skin, it's simply to reveal you the truth, awaken the Israelite in you, show you that the scriptures written in the Bible was wrote by your ancestors. This book is about you, the original FUBU. Learning history will open up your eyes, but it will also break your heart. Time to open up the book and let your mind be retaught. Shalom.
And I'd like to now bring up another interesting place that you're finding descendants of the Israelites, but may not necessarily be from the 10 tribes, but will also play a role. And it shouldn't be overlooked. It's a very serious scenario. Is in Africa.
The real Shemites, the royal, regal, Negro nomads, exiled from the kingdom of Judah, African Shemites who were taken away in slave ships, Deuteronomy 28, verse 68, by the synagogue of Satan, the Caucasian, white Ashkenazi Jews in the 17th and 18th century.
Because this is my land, I'm so rooted, we are deeply rooted as Africans, as Palestinian Africans in this land. And we know pretty well that our ancestors, I'm talking about thousands and thousands of years, had been here in this country, but they were spread away, taken to Africa, from Africa to the United States.
Found that these men in this village in South Africa called Lemba, L-E-M-B-A, carry this genetic marker.
Samuel Moeti is president of the Lemba Cultural Association.
Pleasure.
So, I'll be honest, I came into this village and the first word I heard was Shalom,
Yes.
a Hebrew word.
Yes.
How is that possible? How is it that the Lemba are speaking Hebrew?
The Lembas are the original Hebrews, and they were scattered, as you know, and they crossed into Africa. So they were scattered all over. So in South Africa, in many parts of South Africa, you find the Lembas who are actually Hebrews.
Hebrew. So the Lembas claim to be descendants of ancient Israelites?
Not claim, they are.
They are?
They are.
Okay.
We are the original African Hebrew. We are scattered all over.
I want to go all the way into the crevices of the denial and the doubt. Because I'm going to get you with this morning. I said, y'all going to see this morning. Because it's going to be important to know who Israel is in these last days. Because the Bible's talking about the lost sheep. The Bible's talking about God is judging the nations over the lost sheep that have been scattered into every nation. Now, because we have had theologians that did not want to deal with the actual races of people, they don't talk about who is who. So we lump everybody together. We call all black people Africans. They never did any research to find out that black people just didn't come from Africa. The whole Middle East was black. Are you hearing what I'm saying? Just like not all white people come from the same place. Their people come from different places, but because they don't see the reason why our history does not go into detail about race is because somebody's covering up a lie. And if you start scratching the surface of it, or you start pulling the thread, you see the whole sweater fall apart, because that one lie is what everything is. Modern history is hinged upon. One lie. Are y'all hearing what I'm saying?
You see, in the 1930s, it was an established fact that the regal class of Negro nomads exiled from the kingdom of Judah, that they resided in Songhai, in Mali, in Ghana, in Kenem, in Bornu, in the empire, and within the Onadu forest of Dahomey south of Timbuktu. Communities complete with Aramaic Torah scrolls.
Another area in Africa you have something big happening is in Nigeria. You have the Igbo people, or Igbo, pronounced either way. There's 40 million of them. There's been books written about it from scholars in Nigeria, from scholars from the Jewish people. And where it gets interesting is, in America, there was a slave trade. And a lot of the slaves, a very high percentage of them, came from Western Nigerian ports. And in America today, you see a very large movement of African Americans who say that they're the real chosen people, that they're the children of Israel, they're the Judeans. You know, so what are they just trying to create an identity for themselves because they were slaves, or is there really something here? And the answer is, most likely there is something there. And most likely, maybe that they were the original Israelites, and maybe that the Jewish people today, who are white Caucasian people, came in a little bit later on.
I want to discuss a little bit of sensitive history. And if I go to sensitive history, well, then I must quote sources that say it rather than that I say it. This is a fascinating book, and the web pages are there. You can check it out. Facts are facts. This is a book that was written by a Jewish man. And he confronted the thinking of many of the high-placed individuals of the world. This is interesting stuff. In this book, Benjamin H. Friedman, a Jewish man, writes about the Jews and reveals an interesting history. He states that the present Jews in Palestine are not the true descendants of the Judeans, but rather descendants of the Khazars.
You see, Samson tore a lion apart as he would a young goat. And as a Nazarite, he wore 7 dreadlocks. He was mahogany in body color, just like Malcolm X, and his visage was blacker than coal. He was a Negro, Lamentations 4, 7, and 8. And this is really hard for people to see in Scripture, because predominantly it has been the Caucasians that have been in charge of the Scriptures, right? For millennia. Lamentations 5:10, our skin was black like an oven. Job 30 verse 30, my skin is black upon me and my bones are burned with heat. Deuteronomy 28, Deuteronomy 28 verse 68. And Yahweh shall bring you into Mitzrayim, Egypt again with ships. And the way of which I said to you, you shall see it no more again. And there you shall be sold to your enemies for slaves and female slaves, and no man shall buy you. And that is what happened to the regal class of the house of Judah.
You see that?
The ancient Israelites are those people that were taken into slavery through Atlantic slave trade and scattered through all nations of the world.
Right.
That for 400 years, preachers have taught what they've been trained to teach and never teaching people who they are. Looking right in the book that's talking about us, but not knowing that it's talking about us.
Hi, Shalom, Shalom from Israel. This is Ola, the daughter of Jethro. And I just heard that you black people that was stolen from Africa to America, that you don't know who you are. But you are the children of Yahweh, the children of Israel. And I'm telling you, you have to come back to your homeland, here to Zion, to Jerusalem, because us the Gentiles, we do need you.
And now you have people in Africa saying that they're the real people of Israel. It can't be ruled out at all. We know they were sold into slavery. We know now that they're fulfilling prophecies by saying, we're coming back.
Who is it that's acting like they supposed to be God's people? Now, because theologians have brought out the point that there's neither Greek nor Jew, you think it's not important to know who is the real Jews. Because they say once we start talking about who the real people are, they'll start saying it don't matter. See, the whole point of this country is to be dismissive when it comes to truth.
Why? Ask the bloody question. Why are they only teaching you the history of slavery as far back as the 16th and the 17th century? Why are they only going that far back? Because they don't want you to go farther back than that, because then you'll actually find out the truth. But from the 16th and 17th century, we'll teach you about slavery. You've got to go further back, and you've got to understand and question, why did they do this throughout the whole of America in all the public schools? Why do they only go back as far as the 16th and the 17th century to talk about slavery? We've got to go further back than that.
So the genetic testing actually proved to the doubters what you and your forefathers have been saying for generations. That must be exciting news.
It is.
I'll be honest, I hadn't heard of the Lemba. I knew very little about it. But having spent time making the journey from Jerusalem down through Zimbabwe, having spent time here at this festival, seeing what your people are all about, I can only sum it up in one word, and it's shalom.
Shalom.
You see, it's just like Al-Qaeda today. Or is it ISIS? Or is it ISIL? Or is it IS? I mean, right? Let's just change the name as much as possible to throw you all off so you really don't know what's going on. Let's keep switching the identity to hide the people. Why don't we just keep renaming you? Are you Negro? Oh, no, you're not Negro. No, you're colored. No, you're not colored. You're African American. And this is what they name you. The slavers name you this.
As we begin to dissect, because I want to do it in the Bible, so you know I'm not making up nothing, and I'm not no Black Panther, and I'm not no black activist either. I'm a Hebrew that found out that this book is my culture. Nobody wants to deal with this because, you know, let's just wrap Christianity up in a pretty bow and let's just go on to heaven. And no, we're going to get rid of these lies that's been told. That's why our people are messed up, because won't nobody tell them the truth. And most of what you heard preached is what has been sanctioned by the ADL. In other words, what they allowing preachers to preach, as long as they keep in line with the lie that these are God's chosen people. That's why you see people like John Hagee and Joel Osteen and all these people just stand with Israel and stand with Israel, stand with Israel. Nobody's talking about, now how is these people who's supposed to be researchers not research that part? But do you know why they don't want to talk about that they not the real people? Because you're going to ask the question, if they not it, then who is?